Hey guys, welcome to our final review together. All right, so we're going to cover a little bit of everything here. I got 50 problems to go through, so let's get after it. So number one, when you divide fractions, you multiply by their reciprocal. So I'm going to change this to multiplication. So it's going to be 4 over 11 times 7 over 6. And you can see now that as soon as I switch it, right, I have even numbers in top and bottom. So 2 goes into 4 2 times, 2 goes into 6 3 times. And so now I can reduce as I go. And then that's going to be 2 times 7 on top, so 14, 11 times 3 on the bottom, that's going to be 33. There you go. Number two, this is the formula, and it gives it to you. It gives the heart rate in beats per minute of a person who is 8 years old. Find the heart rate of a person who is 24 years old, round to the nearest whole number. Okay, so it says A is years old, and then it says 24 years old, so I'm going to plug in 24. So it's literally plugging in, crunching your numbers. 3 fifths, 215, minus 24. All right, and at this point, you can just punch it into your calculator if you want to. But that's going to be H, and it will be approximately 115 beats per minute. Okay, on number three, I'm literally just going to simplify this thing. So I'm going to distribute the 2, so 12 plus 10x, and so just a reminder, the 2 is distributed to both terms. So 2 times 5x is 10x, and then that's going to be 4. 2 times 2 is 4. And then I clean this up, 10x, 12 minus 4 is 8, so it's going to be plus 8. There you go. On number 4, we have negative 4 plus 2x plus 5. The plus negative is the same thing as minus 6x. And then I'm going to put my like terms together. So 2x minus 6x is negative 4x. And then negative 4 plus 5 is going to be positive 1. And so that's your answer, negative 4x plus 1. On number 5, again, 8 goes into 8 one time. 8 goes into 32 4 times. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 25 5 times. And don't forget the negative. This is going to be 4 over 5, and it's negative. Okay, on number 6, distribute. So the 9 times 8 is 72y. 9 times 9 is 81. Minus, and this time when you distribute, it's going to be minus negative 7. So negative 7 times 3y is going to be minus 21y. Negative 7 times 2 is going to be negative 14y. Or sorry, just negative 14. And now I'll clean this up. 72 minus 21 is 51. So 51y. And then 81 minus 14 is 67. So it's plus 67. And there's your answer there. Okay, 85. Here on number 7 is the order of operations. Really, 7 and 8 are both order of operations problems, where really that's what you're focused on. You should be focused on that on every problem. This is a problem designed to like really focus on that. So 85, I multiply and divide before I add and subtract. So 85 minus 10 times 2 is 20, plus 112 divided by negative 8. That's going to be negative 1. That's going to be negative 14. All right, and so you have 85 minus 20 plus negative 14 or minus 14. All together, that's going to give you 51. You can, once you get it down to just adding and subtracting, you can go ahead and put that in your calculator. On 8, I'm clean up the inside first. So that's going to be minus, it's going to be 10. I'm going to leave the bracket there because I got to distribute that. 10 minus, or plus 6. All right, that's going to be negative 6. So when you do that, it's going to be plus 6. Okay, so that's going to be plus. And then 5 minus 7 is going to be negative 2. Negative 2 cubed is negative 8. Okay, so 23, 10 plus 6 is 16, so 23 minus 16 minus 8 is what you got. All right, you put that all together, you get negative 1. Okay. On number 9, it says find a solution. It says y equals negative 5x, and it says what is, hey, x is 4. So you're trying to find out what is y going to be if x is 4. So you plug it in, y equals negative 5 times 4. That is negative 20. And you're going to write your answer as an ordered pair. All right, and there you go. That's number 9. All right, on number 10, you're going to plug 6 in for t. Everything else is just going to follow suit. So it's going to be 1100 times 6 plus 3160. Okay, so that's going to be h is 9,760 feet. Number 11. Here, you can deal with this in 1 step or 2 steps. I like the 1 step. But you've got to deal with 7 in the denominator, and then you got to deal with 6 in the numerator. And in one of those terms, you got to deal with the negative that's associated with it too. But if you do this in 1 step, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So it's going to be negative 7 over 6. Negative 7 over 6. Okay, and so that gets rid of everything on the right, including the negative. And so that just leaves me with x equals. And then for the left side, 6 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 7 is 28, and it's going to be a negative 28. Okay. 12. So we got negative 3x plus 2 equals negative 8x. Let's see, I'm going to add 3x to the other side. So it's going to be 2 equals negative 5x. And that's going to be negative 2/5 equals x. So there's your answer. 13. But give me cost. So I'm gonna say 425, 755 equals 532 x plus 155. All right, and that's going to give you. So you got to work your way to solve for x. Okay, so this is going to be subtract 155 from both sides. That's simply going to be 425 600 equals 532. And if you divide that big number by 532, you're going to get 800. And that means how many units can we produce for that much money? 800 units. Okay, on 14, all right, this is going to be negative 43. I'm going to distribute that negative, so it's going to be minus 3y plus 1 equals, distribute the 3, that's going to be 3y minus 6 plus 3y. Okay, so that's going to be negative 42 minus 3y equals, it's going to be 6y minus 6. All right, I'm going to add the 3y to both sides, so it's going to be negative 42 equals 9y minus 6. I'm going to add the 6 to both sides, it's going to be negative 36 equals 9y. And so negative, after you divide by 9, you get y equals negative 4. Okay. On number 15, we're going to use this thing called fraction besting. I'd rather work with fractions than decimals, but given the choice, I don't want to work with either one. So 15 and 16, I'm going to use a similar process. On 15, it's determined by, I'm going to get rid of all the fractions, and it's based on what would have been my common denominator. All right, my common denominator here would have been 6, so I'm going to multiply every term by 6. Well, 6 goes into 6 one time. I'm just left with the numerator, so that's x plus 6. 3 goes into 6 two times, so that's plus 2 times x minus 1. And then 6 goes into 6 one time, so it's just going to be 7. So now I don't have any fractions anymore, and you have x plus 6 plus 2x minus 2 equals 7. When you clean this up, it's going to be 3x plus 4 equals 7, 3x equals 3, x equals 1. So if you left the fractions in it or not, you get the same answer. Now, similar process in 16, but this one is based on place value of decimals. All right, so the biggest decimal I have is 2 decimal places, and so I'm going to multiply by 100. If it was 1 decimal place, I'd multiply by 10, and if it's 3 decimal places, I'll multiply by 1,000, and each place value, I'm adding a 0. So I'm going to multiply, and that's going to give me 21. I don't touch the inside of parentheses, I just focus on the outsides. And then, so 100 times that decimal is 21. This is going to be 37. And then you get, the last number only has 1 decimal, but if I multiply by 100, then it's going to be 3110. And don't forget the negative. Okay, and at this point, I no longer have the decimals, so I can get to work. You're dealing with slightly bigger numbers, but most people would prefer to work with slightly smaller numbers than, or slightly bigger numbers as opposed to decimals. So 21x plus 1050 equals, or plus 37x plus 2220 equals negative 3110. All right, 21 and 37 is going to be 58. 1050 plus 220, or 2220 is going to be 3270 equals negative 3110. We'll subtract both sides by the 3270, so 58x equals negative 6380. All right, and then that's going to give you x equals negative 110 when you divide by 58. Okay. 17. If the fine comes to $295, how fast is the person driving? So I'm going to let capital F be 295, and I'm going to solve for x. And typically, so let's we got 295 equals 10 times x minus 60 plus 75. So one way of doing this is to just clean up the right side, multiply the 10 through there, and then add 75 to what's left. All right, but you could treat the parentheses as the x term and just move everything away from it first. That's what I'm going to do. And so when I subtract 75 from both sides, it's going to leave me with 220. And I know 10 goes into that. So it's going to be 22 equals x minus 60. And I'm going to add 60 to both sides, so that's going to be 82. How fast was it going? 82 miles per hour. All right, 18, dealing with inequalities. Okay, so a couple things here that we need to be on the lookout for. First of all, you're going to work it same way you would just a normal equation, but you want to make sure that your x's or your y's or whatever your variable is ends up on the left. Everything else is on the right because we read inequalities from left to right. Okay, so this is going to be 8x minus 7 less than or equal to 7x minus 7. Okay, I'm going to move the 7x to the left. That's going to be x minus 7 less than or equal to negative 7. I'm going to add 7 to both sides. That's going to be x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so you can either draw the graph if it helps you, but we need to write our answer in interval notation. So if I'm drawing the graph, just a rough sketch, it's going to be 0, and I'm shading to the right. and I get a bracket instead of parentheses because there's a bar underneath. And so if you do that, that's going to be 0, comma, infinity, bracket on the 0, infinity gets the parentheses, and so that's your answer in interval notation. On 19, we're doing the same thing, but it's a little bit more cumbersome because we got a lot more going on. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. Negative 4 times negative x is positive 4x less than 6x, or 6x minus 2x is 4x. And then you got 19 minus 11, that's going to be plus 8. Well, if I subtract the 4x, it's going to be 8 is less than 8. That's a false statement. If it was less than or equal to or greater than or equal to 8, you could do it because they're equal to, but this one doesn't work. And so this one is simply no solution. So that's how you do that. All right, on 20, Claire has received the following scores on her algebra test. What is the minimum score she must receive on her 5th test to have an overall test score average of at least 87? So we need to set this up. So we need to have some 5th test that we don't know yet. 85, 88, 87, and 90, all over 5. And at least it can be greater than, it can be equal to 87, but it can't be less than. So greater than or equal to 87. All right, and so that's going to be x. You add up all those numbers, it's going to be 350, x plus 350, and when you multiply 5 to both sides, that's going to be 435. Okay, subtract 350, that's going to be x is greater than or equal to 85. So what does she need to have? She needs at least an 85. Okay, number 21. We need to take great consideration to make sure that we get this right. So this is talking about polynomials, adding subtract polynomials, and it is quite big, but the thing you need to focus on is that if you're adding, the parentheses don't mean anything. If you're subtracting, you need to be careful and distribute that parentheses. So we're going to do this one thing at a time. All right, so inside here, I'm going to say 9x to the 8th plus 12 minus, and I'm going to distribute that negative. So it's going to be plus 2x2 plus 2x to the 6th, and that's going to be minus 4x squared. Minus, I'm going to open parentheses because I am going to distribute. I'm not going to distribute yet. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. So that's going to be 6x to the 8th minus 10x to the 4th plus 4x. Drop in parentheses, so plus 10x squared minus 4x minus 3. Okay, now, at a quick glance, you can see that I have a plus 4x and minus 4x, so those can go away. It doesn't look like anything else is the same, so now I can distribute my negative. I am going to write the first part in descending order, though, so it's going to be 9x to the 8th plus 2x to the 6th minus 4x squared plus 12 minus 6x to the 8th plus 10x to the 4th minus 10x squared plus 3. Okay, so I made sure to change every sign. And so now I'm going to take a second and mark up my like terms. So I got x to the 8th here and there. I got x to the 6th by itself, and x to the 4th by itself, and x squared by itself. And x, this should be squared. So I have an x squared here and here, and then I have a constant term here and here. Okay, so 9 and 6 is going to be 3x to the 8th. All right, you got 2x to the 6th. You got 10x to the 4th. And then squared, you got negative 4 and negative 10, so it's going to be minus 14x squared. And then here you have 12 plus 3 is 15. Okay, 3x to the 8th plus 2x to the 6th plus 10x minus 14x squared plus 15. This is my answer. Okay. 22, dealing with exponents. When you raise the power to the power, you multiply. So negative 4 gets cubed, so it's going to be negative 4 cubed. And then when you raise the power to the power, you multiply, so it's going to be x to the 15th. And then I need to figure out what negative 4 cubed is. All right, technically, there should be parentheses here. But because it's an odd power, it doesn't really matter. That's going to be a negative 64 x to the 15th. All right, here on 23, I'm going to distribute. All right, so it's going to be negative 3 times negative 6 is 18. X cubed times x to the 6th is x to the 9th. Because when you multiply like bases, you add the exponents. And then negative 3 times positive 7 is negative 21. X cubed times x squared is x to the 5th. There's the answer there. On 24, you're going to distribute. This is going to be x times, it's going to be x times x squared is going to be x cubed. Times 6x is going to be 6x squared. Times 10 is going to be minus 10x. That's going to be minus 6x squared. And plus 6x is going to be minus 36x, and then minus 60. Okay, so I got a little bit going on here. And so I got a plus 6x squared and a minus 6x squared, so I can get rid of those. I have like terms in 10x and 36x. So it's going to be x cubed minus 46x minus 60. Negative 6 plus, or negative 6 times negative 10 should be positive 60, so this should be positive 60. Okay. 25. When you see something like this, make sure to write it out the way it's supposed to be. 3x minus 8 times 3x minus 8. That's what that exponent is telling you, is that it's written twice. I encourage you to do this because if you just try to do it straight up, you're going to forget that middle term. This is what often happens. When you multiply it out like this, it's much simpler. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. Okay, you got negative 24x minus 24x. And then negative 8 times negative 8 is plus 64. All right, let's clean that up. It's going to be 9x squared minus 48x plus 64. There you go. You have to include that middle term. If you don't, it is wrong. Number 26, it says evaluate. They give me an expression, 3y squared minus 4xy, and they give me x is 5 and y is 8. So I'm going to plug in. So y is 8, so it's going to be 8 squared minus 4. X is 5, y is 8. All right, so it's going to be 8 squared is 64 times 3. That's going to be 192. And then 4 times 5 times 8 is negative 160. All right, and then 192 minus 160 is 32. So you want to do this in as many steps as it takes to make sure you get it right. 27 is very similar to what we did on 25. It's just a little more complex of a problem, right? But again, write it out. X squared minus 4y squared. X squared minus 4y squared. Just make sure, this should help make sure that you get that middle term to show up. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. X to the fourth. And then x squared times negative 4y squared. This is going to be negative 4x squared y squared. It's going to show up twice. And then you got plus 16y to the fourth, clean it up, and x to the fourth minus 8x squared y squared plus 16y to the fourth. All right, on 28, I'm going to distribute x squared times x y to the fourth. It's going to be x to the sixth y. It's going to be plus x to the fourth plus 5x squared plus 5x to the fourth y plus 5x squared plus 25. Now, this is a lot, and there's not a lot of like terms here, even, but I do have 5x squared and 5x squared. Outside of that, I'm just going to put this all together, and then there's not a clear way to put my terms together, so just do your best. Let's see. All right, the answers, choices you're going to have are multiple choice, so it shouldn't be difficult. Just make sure all your terms are there. The order doesn't matter. It's just everything's positive, so the order doesn't matter. Just watch out for something like that. Number 29. You got the 12 raised to the 0 power. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. Then you have this negative out here. So if the negative was here and you still have that 0, then the 0 would apply to the negative. But because you don't have parentheses, this is the same thing as negative times 1, which is negative 1. All right, on 30, all right, that's going to be 5 to the 4th. You raise the power to the power you multiply, so that's x to the 12th, y to the 8th, and then 5 to the 4th is 625. So you can go straight there if you want to, or you could piecemeal it like I did. I'm just trying to show you how this works. And then on 31, you have 45 divided by 5 is 9. There's more x's on the top. There's more x's, y's, and z's on top, so I'm not going to have a denominator after this. But 10 minus 3 is 7, so it's going to be x to the 7th. 6 minus 3 is 3, so it's going to be y cubed. And then 3 minus 2 is 1, so it's just going to be z. All right. On 32, we're dividing. If you do it by long division, it's going to be x plus 9. X squared plus 15x. That's 54. Okay, it's going to be focus on getting rid of that first term. X times what is x squared? Well, it's just going to be x. And it's going to be x squared plus 9x. Subtracting. I'm going to change my sign, so plus, negative, negative. This first term goes away. 15 minus 9 is 6x. That's 54. X times what is 6x? It's going to be plus 6. So it's going to be 6x plus 54. Again, I'm subtracting. All right, so both of these are going to go away. And I'm left with 0, which means my answer here is simply x plus 6. Now, if you have a remainder, then it looks a little different. the crucial thing about division of polynomials is you got to make sure that every power is represented from high to low. So like on number 33, I have x to the fourth plus 16. Well, if I were to write that out differently, representing every power, that would be 0 plus 0x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x plus 16. And when I'm dividing, whether it's long division or synthetic division, I need to represent every one of these. All right, and then I'm going to do this one synthetically. So you got x minus 2 equals 0, x equals 2. So that tells you what I'm dividing by. So I'm going to 2 on the outside. And you got 1, 0, 0, 0, 16. Okay, now remember when you synthetically divide, that first number always comes down. You don't do anything to it. And then you say 1 times whatever you're dividing by, or 1 times 2 in this case. So this is going to be 2. And then you're going to add your columns. This is going to be 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 0 plus 8 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus 16 is 32. Now, on this last, if this last number is 0, I don't have a remainder. But it's not 0, so I do have a remainder. Also, I started with x to the fourth. I divided by x, so I'm going to start here with x cubed. Okay? So I'm going to write this as x cubed plus 2x squared plus 4x plus 8 plus, and this is how you write your remainder, plus 32 over what you divided by, in this case, x minus 2. And there you go. That's how you do that. 34. How do you deal with negative exponents? Well, you change its position. If it's in the top, you bring it to the bottom. If it's in the bottom, you bring it to the top. In this case, we have one of each. So I'm going to take one step and deal with the negative exponent. So I'm going to bring the 3 up. It's just going to be a positive, a 3 to the positive 2, and then over 2 to the positive 4. And then 3 squared is 9, 2 to the fourth is 16. You can simplify it after you flip it. On 35, you have x at top and bottom, but you also have the top raised to a power. So you want to deal with that first. So that's going to be x to the 12th over x to the 15th. And then once you have that, that's going to be 1 over x cubed. Because you subtract. All right, here, again, we're going to deal with the negative first. The negative exponent first. This is going to be 3 cubed is 27. X is going to be x to the 6th, because when you raise the power to the power, you multiply. And then this is going to be over 2x, because I'm just dropping it down. And then I can simplify this one just a smidge further by getting rid of one of those x's. Okay, so there's that. All right, 37. All right, 37, 38 are scientific notation. So 5 times 4 is 20. Multiply the 10s together, you add the exponents. So negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. Now, when you remember that number in front of the decimal, it can't be bigger than 10 or higher or smaller than 0. So I got to move this so it's not 20 anymore, it's 2. But when I move it to the left, I'm making a big number smaller. And when I do that, I'm going to add an exponent. So when I rewrite this to make it 2, instead of 20, that's going to be 10 to negative 4. And there's your answer. And you only have to make this adjustment if that number out front is not between 0 and 10. So on 38, 35 over 5 is 7. And when you have a 10, when you divide your 10s, you're subtracting your exponents. So negative 7 minus 1 is going to be negative 8. Because 7 is between 0 and 10, I don't have to do anything with this. I don't have to make an adjustment like I did on 37. So that's just my answer. All right, on 39, we're going to factor. And we're going to factor in some form or fashion from here on out. On 39, I'm simply going to take out an x to the 5th. So you got x to the 5th, and that's going to be x squared plus 4x plus 3. And let's see if I can factor this. All right, that's going to be x. X, second sign is positive, so both sides are the same as the first. So that's plus plus. And then factors of 3 that add up to 4 are 1 and 3. So there you go. On 40, every term has an a plus b, so I'm going to factor that out, a plus b. And that's going to be x squared minus 3x minus 28 on the inside. This is going to be a plus b. And I'll factor that. X, the second sign is negative, so it's going to be 1 of each side. All right, and that's going to be, let's see, this is going to be 4 and 7. And because the middle term is negative, it's going to be minus 7 plus 4. And there's your answer there. On 41, this is one of your special products. And you should notice, hopefully, that first term and that last term is a perfect square. If you don't, you have to do the AC method. All right. But I recognize that these are both perfect squares. So I'm going to take the square root of 9y squared. It's going to be 3y. I'm going to put it in both. The square root of 4 is 2 and 2. All right. The second sign is positive. Both signs are the same as the first. They're both positive. All right. This looks good, but let me check it. So this is going to give me 6y on the inside, 6y on the outside. Together it's 12y. That's what I wanted. So not only does this look good, it is good. So 3y plus 2, all squared. And that's how you do that. Okay, 42. On 42, we're going to take out a 5 first, because it looks like that's all I can take out. So it's 5x squared, or this should be 3x squared, 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. Now, it would have been really great if I could have pulled the 15 all the way out and made that first term positive 1. But I pulled some out, but I wasn't able to pull it all out. So on the inside, I got to do the AC method. So I'm going to take the 3 and kick to the back. Okay, so it's going to be 5 times x squared minus 13x minus 30. 5. This is going to be x. The second sign is negative, so it's plus, minus. All right, that's going to be minus 15 plus 2. Because I multiplied by 3, I have to divide by 3. That first one is not going to simplify and get rid of my denominator, so I'm going to take that 3 and kick it up. And so that's going to be 5, 3x plus 2. And this is going to simplify to x minus 5. So there's my answer there. 143, I'm going to take out the 6, because it's not a perfect squared. And this is going to give me x squared minus 25. Now the inside is a difference of 2 squares, so you got to factor. So this is going to be x plus 5, x minus 5. All right. So there's that. I like 44 because it is a difference of 2 squares, but it presents a bit of a challenge. So your first term, so like on 43, the inside of that was x squared minus 25. So both that was a difference of 2 squares, and it gave you x plus 5, x minus 5. Same thing here on 44. It just so happens that my first term is x plus 2, and so I put it in both. My square root of 49 is 7, so I put it in 7, and you have plus and minus. That's all you do, and then you just clean it up. So it's going to be x plus 9 and x minus 7. Okay, 45. Factor, it's going to be x. The second sign is positive, so both are the same as the first. And that's going to be y and y. What times what is 9 and adds to 6 is going to be 3y. And because they're both the same, it's simply going to be x minus 3y all squared. 46. All right, once again, take out a GCF. Looks like I can only take out a 5. So take out a 5, that's going to give me 16x squared minus 24xy plus 9y squared. And again, if you don't recognize this, then you're going to have to do the AC method. And 16 times 9 is 144. So while it does work and it will factor, I don't want to do that. I do also recognize that my first and last term are perfect squares. So the square root of 16x squared is going to be 4x. And the square root of 9y squared is going to be 3y. So you got 3y. So 4x and 3y. The second sign is positive, so both sides are the same as the first, so minus, minus. Again, this looks good. Let me check it. The inside product is going to be negative 12xy. The outside product is going to give me negative 12xy together. That's negative 24xy. So not only does it look good, it is good. So it's going to be 5 times 4x minus 3y all squared. 47. Now we're looking at difference of 2 cubes. So it's going to be a binomial and a trinomial. All right, the cube root of 125 is 5. The cube root of p cubed is p. Keep the sign. The cube root of 1 is 1. And then you build your trinomial off of your binomial. And so that's going to be 5p. And we'll square my first term. That's going to be 25p squared. Multiply my two terms together. So it's 5p times negative 1 is negative 5p. I change the sign, so it's going to be plus 5p. And then I square my last term, so it's always positive. So it's going to be plus 1. And that's it. Same thing on 48. All right, that's going to be x minus 7. So I'm going to square my first term. That's x. Multiply and change the signs, it's going to be plus 7x. And then square my last term, it's going to be plus 49. There you go. On 49, you're going to factor by grouping because you got 4 terms. All right, so first of all, I'm going to take out an x. That's going to leave me with x squared minus 9. I'm going to take out a 5. That's also going to leave me with x squared minus 9. So I'll pull the x squared minus 9 out. And I have x plus 5. But x squared minus 9 is the difference of 2 squares. So this is going to be x plus 3. X minus 3, and then I'll bring down the x plus 5. And there you go. Last one, 50. I'm going to pull out an x. So this is going to be x to the 12th plus 8. All right. 8 is not a perfect square, but it is a perfect cube. So because it's a perfect cube, let me look at 12. Is 12 divided by 3? Yes, it is. So this is also a perfect cube. X, that's going to be x to the 4th plus 2. Because 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then I have my trinomial based off of my binomial, so I square my first term, so it's going to be x to the 8th. I'm going to change the sign and multiply my terms together, so it's going to be 2x to the 4th, and I square my last term, which is plus 4. Right? And there you go. This sign is the sign of the original, so it matches here. These two signs should be opposite of one another. And then this one is always positive. All right, guys, that's the final review. I hope you got something out of it. I'll see you in the next video.